This is John, and you're watching The Music of the Movies. It's moments like these that define what great scores can do. They can transport us emotionally into worlds that do not exist. Yet in the few hours we inhabit a theater, we become so captivated with what we see and hear that we soon forget where we are. There are not many movies that have done that so effectively to me, and yet in 2008, I found myself in a theater, engrossed and captivated entirely into one story, told by Christopher Nolan and felt by Hans Zimmer. Today, we're talking about The Dark Knight. The first thing that is immediately clear about this score is its simplicity. There are two primary character themes found in The Dark Knight, the Joker and Batman. And although there is a lot more going on in each one, they are based on very simple melodies. The theme for Batman is only 2 notes, though played in such a way to give it a tremendous amount of depth. However, these 2 notes are much more interesting than they seem on surface level. First off, these 2 notes can be traced back to their roots to the original Batman theme composed by Danny Elfman in the original Batman film in the 1980s. For reference, here's how that one starts. Notice the 2 notes established at the start of the theme. Now, here's the composition by Hans Zimmer from The Dark Knight again. The idea is that both Hans Zimmer and Christopher Nolan believed that Batman, being the Dark Knight, would never be able to become the full hero that he wanted to. In fact, that's one of the main points the character makes throughout the film.
He didn't do anything wrong.
Because he's the hero Gotham deserves, but not the one it needs right now. So we'll hunt him. Because he can take it. Because he's not our hero. He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark knight.
This theme was composed to show that although Batman wants to be a hero, his past experience with his parents and his relationship with the city of Gotham will never allow him to reach that status. So the theme for Batman is withheld. I should say the grand heroic theme is withheld. There's this constant struggle trying to be the hero, but after those 2 notes he falls short and he keeps trying at it. The Joker, however, is dramatically more simple.
I'm just ahead of the curve.
Worst end. You have all these rules and you think they'll save you. Who's in control?
I have one rule,
Oh, then that's the rule you'll have to break to know the truth.
which is
The only sensible way to live in this world is without rules. And tonight you're gonna break your one rule.
I'm considering it.
No, there's only minutes left, so you're gonna have to play my little game if you want to save one of them.
just a single note played on a cello, although distorted and manipulated, that seems to go on forever. The idea here is very simple. Out of all the characters presented in the film, the Joker is the simplest to read. He says what he's thinking.
If you're good at something, never do it for free.
How much you want?
Half.
And though his face is covered in makeup, he's really the only character that doesn't wear a metaphorical mask. But in this simplicity comes this darker nature. His theme at first is easy to understand, but as it progresses, it begins to change and alter, and you become increasingly uncomfortable. To see how these two work together, all you have to do is see how the movie plays these along with each other. Since these two characters are often on screen together, it gives us a glimpse at how these two interact. For an example,
I don't care about the scars. So, I stick a razor in my mouth and do this to myself. And you know what? She can't stand the sight of me. She leaves. Now I see the funny side. Now I'm always smiling. A little fighting you. I like that.
Then you're gonna love me. Drop the gun.
Oh, sure. You just take off your little mask and show us all who you really are. Hmm?
Let her go.
Very poor choice of words.
The Dark Knight is really an exceptional and transcending piece of filmmaking. I don't mean to focus only on Hans Zimmer's contribution, because James Newton Howard, another favorite composer of mine, did contribute to this score. For those of you who may not understand or are confused as to the nature of this, the reason that Hans Zimmer has stated before is that he felt it was going to be too difficult to compose the more tender moments throughout the film along with some of the darker themes, and actually asked James Newton Howard to join him in scoring these moments, starting with Batman Begins, and that relationship actually ended with The Dark Knight. By the time The Dark Knight Rises began, James asked to leave the process, feeling his contribution was no longer needed. In some ways, I kind of feel bad for him as an artist, because the most exciting aspects of the film were those character themes, and I think at least in some ways a contributing factor to his departure. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Music of the Movies, and please consider supporting me on Patreon. I don't monetize my videos on here, but I do offer some additional content and exclusive videos just for my patrons, as well as some behind-the-scenes access. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for more.
I suppose you're going to lock me up as well. As your accomplice.
Accomplice? I'm gonna tell them the whole thing was your idea.